We're going to take a few minutes to talk about two really important concepts in government. One is separation of powers, and the other is federalism. These two things are related, but they're different. So let's start with separation of powers. Take a minute and bring to mind the three branches of government that we've studied. See if you can name all three. There's the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. And take a minute more and see if you can remember what each of their jobs is. The legislative branch makes the laws, the executive branch carries out the laws or enforces them, and the judicial branch interprets those laws. Finally, try to name the people in each of these branches of government. Who makes up the legislative branch that we've talked about? That's Congress, and Congress is made up of two groups. One is the House of Representatives and one is the Senate. Who's in the executive branch? That's the president, the vice president, the cabinet, which is a group of advisors, and then a bunch of different departments. And then finally, in the judicial branch, we've talked about the Supreme Court and the federal court system. Each of those different branches of government has a different job. And the fact that each branch has a different job is what we call separation of powers. It's a really straightforward definition. Separation of powers means the powers of the government are separated, in this case into three different branches. Each one has its own job. So what's federalism? Well, federalism is the idea that those three branches exist at different levels in the country. So far, we've talked about the federal level of our country. The federal level or the national level means that these bodies, these branches of government, act for the entire United States. When Congress makes a law, it's a law that affects the whole country. The president and vice president are in charge of the whole country. The Supreme Court makes rulings that affect the whole country. But don't forget that we also have a state level of government, in our case, Virginia, and local levels of government. In our case, Albemarle County, but every state has a number of counties and cities. At the state level, these three branches of government exist as well, and they do things that affect only the state of Virginia. The legislative branch for the state of Virginia, the group that makes laws for Virginia only, is called the Virginia General Assembly. It's like Congress for our state, and it's called the Virginia General Assembly. So who's the executive branch for Virginia? It's the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the attorney general, which means our judicial system is also a series of courts. Virginia has its own Supreme Court, we have a Court of Appeals, and we have a series of circuit courts. And then down at the local level, in Albemarle County, our legislative branch is called the Board of Supervisors. The executive branch is called the County Executive. And then our judicial system at the local level are a series of general district courts and then juvenile courts. So the idea that each branch of government exists at different levels is what we call federalism in the United States. And that's it.